Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us for the class of 2023 junior registration information night. We appreciate you being here. Tonight, as we go through the presentation, we'll be presenting quite a bit of material and moving quite fast. But as you have questions, we encourage you to post those in the YouTube live chat. We will be answering questions out of the YouTube live chat at the end of this presentation tonight. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Sorry about that. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll start off with introducing the counseling staff. So my name is Jeremy Troche, one of the counselors here at Claremont High School, and I have the alpha with the last names A through CHAT. Mrs. Bergsley has the alpha CHAU through GON. Mrs. Mitchell is GOO through LE. Miss Cizik, LI through ON, Mr. Anderson, OO through SI, and Miss Aber, SJ through Z. Claremont High School is also very lucky to have Mrs. Ceccarelli joining us this year, and she is our support counselor. I want to briefly go through what information is on the Claremont High School website. So at the bottom of the screen, you should be able to see a link that shows the course selection website. On the left-hand side of the course selection website is the YouTube video library. And this is information for all grade levels, but your grade level will be right at the top. Information that you may need as you go through the course selection process. In the center of the screen, there we go. This is the electronic course selection tutorial. This is a step-by-step tutorial on how to complete the electronic course selection form. And then on the right-hand side, on the top section, these are the general resources for our students when they're selecting courses. We have the graduation requirements comparison chart. We'll see that briefly in the next couple slides, but we're not going to go into detail on that. The course description book right below that, and the CHS electives below that. On the bottom in the center there is the course selection office hours, and this is a time for students to come and ask questions of counselors. It's an open forum, so students can come and ask any questions they want about how to complete the form, making sure they have the right classes, and the dates and times are down there as well. Moving down on the screen a little bit more, you will see the course selection form specifically for juniors. So at the top, we'll see the link to the junior course selection. Go back one for me, Ms. Bergsley. There we go. The junior course selection, and that is the electronic course selection form. Just below that is the IB course planner form. Students do not need to fill this out unless they're doing the full International Baccalaureate program. And we will talk about that a little bit later tonight as well. Below that is the appointment schedules by history class. We will be meeting with each student one-on-one. And the idea behind this is we want to give students a chance to ask questions about their individual course schedules and make sure that we get it right. So that will happen later in March. And the schedule for that by history class is there. The next section, go to the next one, is a frequently asked questions section, just giving you some information, common questions that we get. Next slide. All right, so one of the common questions we get is, I can't get permission to complete the form. And you may get a message that looks like this. And if you get this message, it's because you're logged in under a different Google account. So to access the course selection form, you must be logged in with your CUSD Google account. So if you get this message, in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little circle that has an initial in it. Sometimes it may have a picture in it. Click on that circle, go to the next slide. There you go. And it should bring up this little box. And in this particular situation, I am logged in under my personal Gmail account, and I need to change that to my CUSD account. So I need to go down to where it says Other, and the one that says Jeremy with the little purple on it, the purple J on it, that is my school account. So I have to make sure I select the correct account. We would actually recommend using the school iPads to complete this form, because if you're on your school iPad, you should automatically be logged in under your school Google account. Thank you. All right, so I mentioned earlier the grad comparison chart, the graduation, CSU, Cal State, and NCAA comparison chart. This is linked on the Claremont High School course selection website. And in one of the videos, the intro video for students, we do go over this in great detail. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on this tonight. We may mention it as we go through and talk about other things, but it'll be here on the slides. The slides will also be posted this evening on the CHS website so that you can review those as well. Go ahead and skip to the next slide. And I will hand this over to, I believe it's Mr. Anderson next.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Mr. Trosh. Although we are attending school now in the virtual sense, where our classes are virtual online with the use of technology, Claremont High School still has a technology requirement. We do offer a challenge exam that students are able to take. We just had our last exam on February 10th. Our next test date is to be determined. We haven't established that date yet. When we do, that information will be sent out through several avenues, through Canvas. We will also try to send it out through Remind, just to get that information out to students. That course, as well as that exam, will cover Word, Excel, Google spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, making sure students are responsible digital citizens, and that they can collaborate using technology. It's important when that date does come out that your students are signing up at least a week in advance. They will cut off the registration the week prior to the exam, and it tends to fill up fairly quickly as well. So again, you want to make sure that they're aware of that date and they're signing up at least a week in advance. There is a minimum score for passing. They have to earn a 70% or better. If for any reason your student decides to take the challenge exam and they are unsuccessful, there's nothing that goes on their permanent record. So it's take the test. If you pass it, you receive credit for fulfilling the course requirement. Not any high school credits, but you receive the graduation requirement as being met, but they have to pass the challenge exam with a 70% or better. If they do not take the challenge exam, they can enroll in the course throughout their junior or senior year, and we will be offering the course over the summer as well. So there's several ways that they can complete that technology requirement. Sophomores, as sophomores, now's the time to start thinking about life after Claremont High School. Listed are some resources and some recommendations to get started. Make sure your students are aware. We do have a college and career center available on campus, which is located in our library. Ms. Suzanne Miller, who's our career tech, she supervises the college and career center. That's where we have all of our college reps and visitors come over that are able to meet with students and talk about their campuses. She also is in charge of our ROP program, which offers career-related courses that are housed at Claremont, as well as courses that they can take outside of Claremont that are career-related courses. We encourage your students to attend local and national college fairs. That looked a little bit differently this year, and I anticipate that they're going to continue with that with the virtual college fairs because more students are able to attend. You're not having to go to one place, but I'm assuming that they might still offer some of those that are in-person ones as well. Virtual college visits. We used to encourage students over their breaks and the holidays to get onto the campuses and walk. Again, right now that's not possible, but schools have done a really good job of creating these virtual tours where students can really get a sense of how it might be to go to that campus. So again, we encourage students to start doing that, and it's not too early as a sophomore. We have Career Day every October, so this is an excellent opportunity. We have usually over nearly 100 career speakers that come in that students can choose, up to 3 that they can go and listen to information from different professionals within different careers. It's important that students are setting up an email that they use for college. As we're finding out now, students are not always using or checking their CUSD email address, as well as when they get to that senior year and they're applying to school, it's going to cut off when they graduate. So it's important that they establish a personal email that they're going to use for college and career type of correspondence. Mention the ROP. Something definitely to consider. It's important. High school is a time of exploration. So to get out there and take some ROP courses and explore some of those career and those options that are available to students. When students are considering post-secondary education, they have several options. One of those is the California Community College. It's open for all students who are 18 years of age or who have a high school diploma. They have priority transfer agreements to Cal States and UC, so many students will start at the community college, finish their 2 years there, transfer over and complete the second 2 years at the four-year college and receive a bachelor's degree from that four-year college or university. There are honors programs that are offered on the community college. They tend to have top professors, and they have a high rate of transfer to four-year college or university. So if your student is really excelling in high school, around that 3.0 GPA or higher, and they're considered a community college, definitely want to look into the honors programs. They also offer certificate programs for workforce training. So some students might not need a full degree. They might need just some additional training, a 1-year, 2-year program to enhance their opportunities for on the job and to be ready for the workforce. Community colleges also offer a reasonable cost, a lot less than attending a 4-year college for 4 years, get that 2 years done at a lower rate at the community college and then transfer over to the 4-year. And there's financial aid available in the community college. We are a partner school with Citrus. We have what we call Citrus Early Decision. It's not a commitment, but students who go through the early decision process are able to go through a 4-step process with the Citrus rep and be enrolled at Citrus College prior to leaving Claremont High School. And there's a lot of benefits attached with that, being part of the Citrus Early Decision. But that's something that counselors will meet with your students about throughout this process and make a referral over during their senior year if they're thinking about that, and they can get the information on that. Some of our local community colleges are Citrus, Mount Sac, and Chaffey, but students are open to go to any community college throughout the state of California. This is a short list of some of those certificate programs that are offered at some of the some of our local community colleges. A big one at Claremont, we got a lot of students who are considering cosmetology, so they enroll over at Citrus. A lot that might be looking into the firefighter academy, so they look into Mount Sac, but that's a short list of some of the local certificate programs. You can go on the community college's website and you can look at and you can find the long list of all the certificate programs that they offer throughout the different community colleges. Considering a 4-year college after graduating Claremont High School, there are several options there. If your students considering a public college, which usually are larger schools, we have the Cal State system as well as the UC, out of state as well. If they're considering out of state, a program you want to get familiar with is the Western Undergraduate Exchange. It's a partnership with 16 Western states, over 160 colleges that will provide reduced rate for non-resident students who aren't residents of that state. They also have the option of private schools, which tends to be smaller schools, so a more intimate environment, smaller class sizes. Some have a religious affiliation and some not. So they have both of those options between the public and the private campuses. If they're looking at the public school as an option and they're looking to stay in California, here's a comparison between the UC system and the Cal State system. The UC accepts 12% of students in California. They have 9 campuses, where the Cal States are have 23 campuses, and they service a larger portion of the students, serving 33% of the students statewide. For testing wise, the UCs are test blind up through 2023. They've made that announcement. Cal States, they're going to be test blind. Actually, they're only using their admissions test for placement, and they've only made that known up through the class of 2022. So they're going to be updating that with information as they come right now. So again, there's 9 undergraduate campuses at the UC level, 23 campuses that are available to students at the Cal State throughout Northern and Southern California. Considering private colleges, each private college has its own admissions requirements. So again, if your student is considering a private college, it's important to get out there and look at the school, look at their website, look to see if we have those schools coming over to our Career Center, because we have several colleges each month that are coming to visit our school. And again, that is open to all of our students. So it's not too early for them as sophomores or juniors next year, as well as it's not too late for seniors early in the fall to visit those reps that are coming in. By meeting the A through G requirements, this is something that will be talked about with your students. I know Mr. Trost showed a slide there. There's a link to it, but we meet with your students every year, and we monitor not only their high school graduation requirements, but the completion of the A through G requirements if they're an aspiring athlete, completion of the NCAA requirements as well. but by meeting the minimum A through G requirements, we always recommend exceeding those, will meet the requirements for majority of colleges and universities in state and out of state. Again, if you have any questions, it's important, especially with the private colleges, because each of them have their own admissions decisions, to directly go to the website and check in with the school on those admissions requirements. In addition to looking at students' grades and the courses that they're taking, the private schools are going to look to do a comprehensive review. So they're going to be asking for essays and recommendations from teachers as well as counselors. They're going to be looking into extracurricular activities and courses, volunteer work that students are doing. So they're looking at the whole student to make a decision, not just focusing on grades and test scores. Here's, again, a short list of volunteer activities. We get a lot of students who are coming in looking to get out there and get involved. Again, I know with times and with the pandemic, it was a little bit more difficult for students to access some of these volunteer activities, but here are a short list of some local volunteer opportunities that students can do. There's plenty out there. It's just about students going out there and asking. And knowing what they're interested in and gearing their volunteer service towards that. There is a college for everyone. I know when we talk about college and we talk about grades and students think about how competitive it is, but there's over 2,500 colleges throughout the United States. And you might be surprised that only 185 of these reject more than half their applicants, which means that most students that are meeting the A through G requirements that are applying to schools are getting accepted to one or more campuses out there. So yes, there are going to have some campuses that are more competitive than others, but it's important for students to start figuring out what's important for them in a college so that they can find their fit. We listed some things over here to consider, maybe cost, diversity, location, major, how selective the college is, the size, but there are a ton of things that your student can look into that they can find a college that's a good fit for them. You can check out Big Future on collegeboard.org, and you can start listing some of these things that we listed over there, and it will create a working list of schools for you to get out there and research. But again, they're sophomores now, you have your junior year. The more work they put into preparing, the easier it is to find that fit of that college and have them ready and prepared fall of senior year to apply. And I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Abear.
All right, good evening, everybody. As you're looking at your post-graduation education options, you'll discover quickly that high school has been free, but college is not. As you're looking at college, think about the financial aid piece that can make your education affordable. On the federal level, there is money for in the form of grants, loans, as well as working on campus called work study to offset your education costs. There are federal scholarships and federal institutional aid. And then the state of California, as a California resident, offers grants in the form of Cal Grant. The first step that any student will need to do in senior year if they are attending college, and that includes 2 as well as 4-year colleges, is to use the free application for federal student aid called the FAFSA. As you're searching for colleges, understand that also there's need-based aid based on your family income and merit-based aid based on your academic achievement. And those can also work in tandem. They're not exclusive. As you're searching for your educational options, try not to let the sticker price deter you early, because the price that you pay for college will vary for every single person listening to this right now. There's an instrument called the Net Price Calculator, and it's a tool on every college website that can be used for you and your parents to answer some questions and get a much more accurate price of what going to that campus would cost you for your education. And it's not too early to create a fast web account. FastWeb is a tool you can use in high school and in college to search for scholarships, financial aid, even internships. So that's a great tool for all students to have. As I mentioned earlier, the free application for federal student aid called the FAFSA is going to be an important step in the fall of your senior year. The FAFSA works in tandem with Cal Grant if you are going to attend school in California. And Claremont High School will upload the needed information to make you eligible for a Cal Grant if you are eligible for one. When it comes to financial aid, there are other instruments that can also be used to help offset the cost. Some colleges will have you do a different form called CSS Profile to access their institutional aid money. But as we get closer to the end of your junior year and the beginning of senior year, we'll talk more about some of these financial components to make your education affordable. But right now, just understand that there is help out there, but your performance matters. The stronger your grades can be this year and the next 2 years, the more options you'll have. And that's true for most things in life. We want to tell you about the PSAT. It's a preliminary or practice SAT. Historically, we offer it in October during the school day. It is a practice SAT to expose students to the SAT so they get comfortable with the format of the test. And when taken in junior year, it's the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. We did not offer the PSAT in October of 2020, but we hope to offer it as we traditionally do in October of 2021. You'll be able to register for the PSAT in August when you do your return to school registration. The PSAT is a practice test for the SAT, and the SAT has there's another admission test out there called the ACT, 2 admission tests in the country. For a long time, there has been a push to de-emphasize the importance of admission testing. There's been a lot of discussion among colleges, among education circles about the validity of the test, and the pandemic really gave it a 1-2 punch. You need to know that the SAT and the ACT still exist. The ACT is slightly differently comprised than the SAT, but both have widely been used for years as admission tests. However, with the pandemic, many schools, if not all schools, went to test optional or test blind for the current senior class. And for current juniors, it's going the same way, test optional, test blind. As sophomores, we can't predict the future, but there does seem to be a real momentum building to de-emphasize admission testing in this country. You can prepare for admission testing by being a good student. Read, do your homework, and the best free prep for the SAT is Khan Academy, and the best ACT prep is available on the ACT student website. You can also take private classes, you can do extra workbooks, but again, we'll talk more about this next year as the picture becomes more clear for everything. SAT subject tests were also admission tests, not widely required, but recently the College Board, the people that offer the SAT subject test, discontinued it, effective immediately. So the SAT subject tests are gone. So you don't need to worry about that anymore. But if you have older siblings or older friends that talked about it, just know that it has gone away, effective this spring. If you don't want to worry about standardized tests for college admission, fairtest.org has been a very influential organization in drawing attention to the testing dilemma. And they created a list of colleges that have gone test optional, test blind, and that could be interesting reading for you. And you can get up to the minute information from Fair Test as well about colleges that are moving away from admission testing. If the colleges that you're thinking about still want to see admission tests, or you're not getting a clear picture, typically juniors in the spring start admission testing. That allows you to test early enough so that if you're not happy with your score, you can retest maybe in the early fall of senior year. Generally speaking, it's nice to have the admission testing done by the fall of senior year so you have more time for school, your activities, those college applications, essays, financial aid, scholarship pursuits, etc. We want to tell you about International Baccalaureate coursework and advanced placement coursework. You have that option as juniors next year. AP and IB are similar in that they're very rigorous classes. They require a lot of reading and writing. IB classes tend to be very collaborative, requiring a lot of classroom participation. AP and IB classes have a weighted GPA, which means grades of C or better earn an extra point in the GPA calculation. And if you take an AP or IB course, you may wish to take the AP or IB exam later in the school year to perhaps earn credit for college. You don't have to, it's not a requirement for AP. And it's not a requirement if you're taking an IB course as a single course, but it is a way to get advanced credit when you get to college. That is how many students can start college as a sophomore, because they took the AP and IB courses and got the advanced credit based on their exam performance. If you're thinking IB diploma, we want to make sure that you know about that option, because this is the year you decide that. IB diploma requires that you take a certain balance of IB coursework and that you take a fourth year of a world language, and you take a balance of 3 higher level courses and 3 higher level course exams and 3 standard level exams by the end of your senior year. IB diploma also requires an extended essay. It's a topic of your choosing, and you work on that in the summer before your senior year. And it requires creativity, action, and service. IB diploma is viewed as the most rigorous program you can pursue because of its multiple components of requirements, the curricular requirements, the testing, the essay, the language, etc. You do not have to take the highest level in all 6 areas. That is a misnomer. At Claremont High School, we have programmed IB diploma students. They will automatically take IB English HL and IB History of the Americas HL. Students have to choose the 3rd HL, and the 3rd HL can be in coursework such as mathematics, biology, physics, computer science, and visual arts. Students also have to choose 3 SL classes. One automatic SL class at Claremont High School is going to be your 4th year world language, which is an SL class. The 2 other SLs could be in visual arts, computer science, any IB science like sports exercise, psychology, and those are the SL options at CHS. Some students who are thinking about IB want to know if they can do their favorite elective like band or theater, and it is possible to do that. Mrs. Sieg has been holding office hours for IB course planning. She held one earlier, but there's 2 more coming up, and the link to her Zoom meetings for office hours and IB course planning is both on the CHS website as well as it will be in the YouTube chat. For IB and AP, they do have exams in May to demonstrate your mastery of the material that you have learned. You need to know that AP and IB exams do have a fee. There are fee waivers for students who receive free or reduced lunch. And this year, you can still register for an AP exam if you are in AP class this year. And IB exam registration would only happen when you are enrolled in an IB course or you're doing IB diploma, and that registration happens in the fall. Next, Mrs. Cizik will start with Regional Occupation Program information.
Okay, good evening. As Ms. Hebert said, I'm Mrs. Cizik, and I know we've given you a lot of information, but just know we're almost done. I'm going to present the portion, the last half of our slideshow to you this evening, which I'm going to cover a variety of different topics, so bear with me. First, let's talk a little bit about our ROP program, which stands for Regional Occupational Program. By taking an ROP course, students can earn elective credit as well as learning important job skills. At CHS, we offer a variety of different ROP classes, including stage tech, criminal justice, sports med, plus many, many others. As well as next year, we're going to have a new course that's actually called business management. Now, throughout our region, ROP also offers other programs like cosmetology, dental assistant, nursing assistant, fire technology, plus many others. If you're interested in any of these ROP classes or programs, please talk with your counselor, or you can also talk to Mrs. Miller in the Career Center. Okay, the next two slides are regarding NCAA. So the next two slides are for student athletes who are hoping to earn a Division I or Division II college athletic scholarship. If that is you, you must become familiar with the NCAA, the National Collegiate Athletic Association. The NCAA is the national governing body for all of college sports. And to be able to accept a D1 or D2 athletic scholarship, students must meet certain criteria. For example, the courses that you take in high school and the grades you earn will help determine whether you will be eligible to play sports in college. Students must earn at least a 2.3 GPA in their core curriculum of 16 approved classes for a D1 school. They also have a core GPA and test score index that students must meet. For students who are interested, we encourage you to register with the NCAA Eligibility Center during spring of your junior year. And also, please talk with your counselor so they can help you plan and so that we're aware so we can help you every step of the way. Okay, next slide. What if you fail a class along the way? Well, if you fail a class that's needed for graduation, or maybe you earned a D and you need to remediate for a four-year college admissions, CHS will be offering summer school. Information has not been released at this time, but once it is, an email will be sent home to parents, to all families, and the information will also be posted on our website. We will be offering remedial courses in English, math, science, social science, as well as courses in government, econ, PE, and this year, tech ed. We're also going to be offering advancement courses in chemistry and pre-calc, as well as 2 Citrus dual enrollment classes, Art 110 and Art 199. Now, dual enrollment classes means that students can earn Citrus college credit as well as high school credit. Okay, let's talk alternative education. If students fall behind in credits, we have several options for them. We have our alternative high school, which is San Antonio High School. And if students are 16 years or older, they can take the California High School Proficiency Exam. And if they pass, they would receive a certificate of proficiency and are free to start college at that time or go into the workforce. If students are 18 or within 30 days of their 18th birthday, they can also attend our adult school and earn their GED. If you have questions about alternative education or any of these options I've just mentioned, please talk with your counselor. Okay, what are some smart options for summer? Well, I mentioned earlier, we have summer school. If it's possible this summer, I would definitely encourage students to volunteer within the community. Also, this is a great summer for you to start your college visits. If you can get on campus, that's a great way to check it out. And if you can't get on campus, I encourage you to use the virtual option. Since this pandemic started, many of the colleges have really improved their virtual resources online for prospective students. So I encourage you to check out their resources. And many times you can actually schedule a visit with one of their admissions counselors. Also, I encourage you, relax, read, rejuvenate, take some time for yourself. Maybe get a summer job you could work. And last but not least, now is a great time to start exploring careers. There's a ton of resources on the internet to help you in your search. Okay, I do want to briefly touch on students who are interested in taking coursework outside of CHS this summer. Please be aware that not all courses outside of CHS are UC and NCAA approved. We have also found that not all coursework is consistent with our content, format, and pacing. So sometimes students will take a course, they'll come back to the regular school year, enroll in the next advanced course, and oftentimes they'll struggle. So if you're thinking of taking an outside course, it is imperative that you talk with your counselor before enrolling in any outside course. I should also mention, we've been told that some outside programs are really limiting their enrollment this summer. So options that may have been available in the past may not necessarily be available this summer. Okay, and last but not least, scheduling of junior year courses and completion of the online course contract. Now I know Mr. Troshi showed you a ton of information on our website. Please look at that information. Students must submit your online course request by Tuesday, March 9th. If you have any questions, we're going to be holding another office hours session on Wednesday, March 3rd, and also on Monday, March 8th. We actually held one today and we had an amazing turnout. So students, if you have questions, please join us for one of those 2 office hours on one of those 2 days. Now, once you submit your course requests, counselors will be meeting with each student individually through their history class starting on March 15th. And Mr. Trosh also pointed out that schedule, it is on our website. So if you're wondering, hey, when do I get to meet with my counselor? Check out the schedule on our website and you'll see exactly which day that you'll be meeting with us. Okay, at this time, that concludes our presentation for the evening. We will take questions now, so you can please post your questions in the YouTube live chat. If you're having any issues posting questions, you can also email Mr. Trosh. They did put his email address in the chat. So you have 2 options. Post your question in the chat or email Mr. Trosh, and we'll take those questions as they come in.
Okay, so we've got a few questions already in. So first question, what is the PSAT for junior year? So maybe explaining what PSAT stands for and maybe talking about what that means for junior year. I think Ms. Aber presented on that.
Yeah, I did. So the PSAT is a practice SAT. It is offered during the school day in October, usually the second Wednesday of October. We're planning to offer it in October of 2021. And it's an opportunity to do a practice SAT. See your critical reading skills, see how your math skills align. You'll get a report probably in December, giving you some information on your performance, giving you an opportunity to see the questions you got right, those that you didn't, and help you with that process. Historically, the PSAT has been a good practice for the SAT that you'll probably take 6 to 8 months later on. However, taken in junior year, the PSAT is a national merit scholarship qualifying test. And if you've ever heard of National Merit, that is a distinguished program for students who have achieved very strong scores on the PSAT, and it can lead to scholarships for college. And it's a mark of distinction that colleges like to see. Historically, we have anywhere from 1 to 5 National Merit semifinalists and finalists at Claremont High School. So there has been that history. The practice SAT is never shared with colleges officially. It's not an admission test that you'll ever have to report on. But if you opt in to the service for the PSAT, you will start to get bombarded with email from colleges who want to talk to you because they see you as interested in college and they want to get to know you. But the registration for the PSAT could happen in August when we go through registration for the new school year. That's the only kind of test that you would pay for at Claremont High School, the PSAT. Other tests like SAT or ACT, you register directly with the agency and pay your money there.
Excellent, thank you. Next question, what does test blind mean?
Test blind means that the colleges will not look at your test scores. Even if you should send them, they're not going to look at them. They will separate your application from any type of test scores that they see. Test optional means that schools will look at it, and if it benefits you, you can submit it, and the schools will look at it as a component of your application, but it's not a requirement. You choose to send them, they'll look at them. You choose not to, not a problem.
And the UCs have put out that they're going to be test blind up through the class of 2024. The Cal States have only put out up through the class of 2022. So that's something that we will have to continue to monitor to see if they're going to extend that. Again, as mentioned before, if you're applying to a private campus or outside of the Cal State or the UC system, it's important to go onto the school's website and check their admissions requirements to see if they're test blind or test optional, and how long that's going to be for, if it's up through the class of 2023 or not.
Thank you. Next question. If you volunteer at a church, does that count? I believe Ms. Cizik was talking about volunteer hours. Ms. Cizik, do you want to answer that question? Absolutely.
Yes, that would count. What I encourage students to do is to create a log. Maybe start a spreadsheet to keep track of your hours. I know that you're probably thinking, oh, I'll remember that, but I can tell you, promise you, you probably won't. So whatever works best for you, create a spreadsheet, maybe create a log, and keep track of those hours, specifically how many hours, when you did it, how long you did it, and exactly what you did. Because when it comes time to complete your college applications, it's going to ask you that specific information. But definitely those hours count. So keep up the good work and keep volunteering.
I also want to add that if you are volunteering outside in the community, it's always good once you're completed that volunteer work, to ask whoever supervises you if they can write you some sort of letter of recommendation or some sort of letter, because you never know when that might be helpful in a job situation, and you might need it for a job, or even when it comes out to scholarships as well. So again, check in with whoever supervises you and see if they can write some sort of letter of what you did and your responsibilities during your volunteer service.
So a question related to that just came up. Is volunteer work mandatory?
It is not mandatory for the high school diploma. However, if you are thinking about IB diploma, there is creativity, action, and service is a requirement of the diploma. The action can be anything in your community, and that will be those hours begin in junior year. You don't get activity credit for past volunteering. If you do full IB, it begins when you start the IB diploma in junior year. It can be activity and service in your community, your school. It can be speech and debate. It can be theater. It can be athletics. It can be lots of different things. So IB diploma does require creativity, action, and service, but not the regular diploma.
Excellent. Another question in the chat. If you are doing a sport, will you still get 2.5 credits even though there is no season?
Yes, you will. If you are conditioning and participating with the high school team, you will be earning 2.5 PE credits. And the numbers and the cases seem to be moving in a really good direction right now. So maybe we'll still have more spring sports activity ahead.
Thank you. Next question, back to volunteer hours. How many hours of volunteer should we do? So how many hours of volunteer work should they do?
If you're talking about for the college admission process, our suggestion would be that you volunteer into something that's meaningful for you. Maybe it's a way to serve, maybe you have a talent, maybe you want to tutor younger age students. Claremont after school programs could be a great way for you to serve. It's not so much the hours as much as maybe the focus, the evolution, your passion, and pursuing it. And if you try something and you don't like it, then by all means, try something new. We don't want you to be miserable in your volunteer experience, but our suggestion would be follow your passion, follow what you enjoy doing. And if it aligns to maybe like a future career, that's even the better for you.
Excellent. Next question in the chat. Is the business management class the same as last year's virtual enterprise class? The answer to that is no. It is a redesigned class. It will be different in content. It will be taught by our current virtual enterprise teacher, but it is redesigned in a different way. We are not fully sure exactly what the class will hold. That is still being developed by ROP. But it will be, my understanding, more of a content-based class. Next question. Will this recording be available here on YouTube later? Yes. So we do it on YouTube so that it is immediately available. So as soon as we finish a live stream, you'll be able to access it on YouTube. We will also link this presentation along with all of the slides directly on the course selection website.
Hey, Mr. Trosh, I'd also like to add that business management class is part of, as I mentioned earlier, Baldy View ROP. And if you're considering any of the ROP classes, including the business management, I encourage you just Google Baldy View ROP. And once you get to their website, look for the high school schedule course description. And not only will it give you a description of that business management class, because that is being taught in other districts right now. So you can see a description, and many of the courses have these really cool videos that you can watch that shows, it shows students in action and really what they're learning. So go to their website and check it out, not only for that business management course, but for all the other courses that they offer.
Excellent, thank you. Next question, just so I'm clear, there is no mandatory hours for volunteering?
Not for the Claremont High School diploma.
And I don't see any more questions in the chat at this time. So we thank you for joining us this evening. We will conclude the presentation, but we really appreciate you joining us this evening. We hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Bye, thank you.